I remember sitting one day in my hostel room, in my small hostel room, and I made a decision that the only way to help someone else like me is to come out, is to first accept my status and never be afraid. And I shouldn't really continue hiding anymore because even my friends at campus, they didn't know about my status.
Mujevale, Mujevale, Mujevale. My name is Bani Kibuka, and welcome to another episode of the Ugandan Boy Talk Show. Welcome once again to the Ugandan Boy Talk Show. I was planning for my next guest, and I was like, who will I host? And I remembered a lady, I call her lady, in Uganda that we just connected on Facebook like 2 years ago or 1 year ago. So welcome to the show, Akulu Ruth.
Thank you very much, Bonnie.
How have you been?
I've been very busy.
Yeah,
but
I see that on your social media. You're ever traveling, going to places, and I'm gonna ask you about that. But before we go into that, where were you born?
I was born in Oyam district in
Okay.
northern Uganda.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's where I was born.
Is that like Gulu area or?
No, it's in the Lango region. I don't know. Gulu is in Acholi region,
Okay.
but I was born in Lango. So that is the Lango region, the district that is famous for in Lango region is Lira. So
Okay.
it's the ends of Lira, that side.
Oh, I'm not very familiar with the northern regions. Actually, I just visited the northern region like 2, 3 years ago for the first time, but I'm not really good at the districts up there. All I know is Gulu, Alua. I think that's it.
Aurora is not in north.
Oh, it's not. It's like northwest,
Yes,
isn't it?
northwest.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's part of north. Just give me that. Anyway. So what's your family background like?
And I was born in a family of four people. I'm the firstborn.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, my dad passed on when I was very young, and I have three siblings, and my mom is a single mom, is a single mother. So yeah, that's it. I don't know what else you'd want to know.
I ask people that every time I host guests here because I want to know, like, especially the people that I host from Uganda, I want to know where they grew up from and like where life brought them. Because now you told us, I didn't even know like you were born there because I knew you from Wakiso or like anything, and that's why I wanted to know where you grew up. So how did you end up in Wakiso?
Okay, how I ended up in Wakiso, that was, should I start with, okay, let me start from the beginning. That is in 2005. I don't know if you know Pastor Arnold Wonge,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know.
Friend Center.
Yeah.
He- They look after children who are orphans and
Mm-hmm.
also vulnerable children that are exposed to the dangers in the society.
Mm-hmm.
So I was among the children who was vulnerable and also considered as an orphan, and that's how I ended up in Wakiso. So
Okay.
KCC located in Wakiso district.
So that's Destiny Bridge because I know I visited the orphanage in I don't even know how the place is called. Not saying you go by, and I've even forgotten how you get there. But like you drive through past the hospital, Wakiso, then past the Katale, then you go down there.
Gombe village. I
What's
don't know.
that? What's that?
The village is called Gombe.
Yeah, Gombe. Uh-huh.
But the whole place is called Destiny Hill.
I've actually visited there with my brother Benjamin. I don't know if you know my brother Benjamin.
Yeah, I know him.
Yeah, so that's the other thing I was gonna ask you. You seem to know all my family members, and like when we were talking before we started recording, you know my dad, you know my mom, you know my brother, and you told me my mom was your Sunday school teacher. Tell me about that. How did you meet my mom the first time?
She came as a Sunday school teacher at the children's center.
Mm-hmm.
I can say she is the most influential person in a child's life. And should I say a child's role model? Because I always looked up to her as a role model, and I always wanted to follow her footsteps. She told
Yeah.
us, I remember one day she told us that she's a missionary, and I remember one time I wanted to be a missionary because of her.
Yeah. She has impacted a lot of kids' lives. Like even when I was growing up in Sunday, she taught me in Sunday school. She taught, I think, all the people in Wakiso who have gone like to churches, like everybody knows her. You would be walking with her in Wakiso and say, Auntie Susan, Auntie Susan. And like everybody calls her, but like
Can I say that she's the most qualified Sunday school teacher I've ever? Yeah.
yeah, she knows what she's doing. I mean, she studied that, and I think God gifted her with that because she's really good at doing that. And so Ruth, what schools did you go? Did you go to Destiny Bridge School then? What schools did you go to?
I know I didn't go to Destiny Bridge School, but
Mhm.
I went to St. Elizabeth in Kowe.
Yep, my brother went to that school.
Then I went to Exodus College.
Yeah, I know Exodus.
So then Renes Secondary School. I don't know if you're
Yeah,
familiar
in
with.
Namusera.
Yes, yes,
I know
yes.
Linus. I went to St. John's, so it's like close by to Linus. I went to St. John's Senior Secondary School. That's where I did my high school. Um, so anyway, I've been hosting people on my podcast. I started a podcast to just tell stories, about people and people who do different things. Like I know you've worked with different organizations. You've been participating in a lot of good causes. But before I go into that, like as a girl growing up in Uganda, what are some of the challenges you've faced, you personally?
Uh, ch- uh, Challenges that I've faced as a young girl growing up in Uganda. Number one is lack of confidence. If you look at the society, there is a certain standard of beauty that you have to, certain standard of beauty that you have to follow. And if you don't meet that, you're not really beautiful. So as a young girl, it kindly it affects self-esteem and the confidence. And besides that, girls in Uganda lack a voice. So it's always very hard for them to express themselves. I don't know if you've noticed that
Mhm.
uh, girls in Uganda, they hardly express themselves. So it's the same thing with me. While I was growing up, it was very hard to speak out my inner thoughts, to bring out my inner voice. So that has really been a big challenge, but I'm glad I overcame that. That is all I have now, or else I have a whole booklet of challenges girls go through.
Yeah, every time I ask people about the question, I think about it. I'm like, why do you even ask this person a challenge of growing up in Uganda? Because growing up in Uganda itself is a challenge by itself before even you go to before even you go to being a girl or something. And like I definitely understand there's a million other things that girls go through, like not even guys, because I know my dad has a girls' home restoration at the church, Central Baptist Church in Wakiso, and I listen to those girls' stories, and like they will tell you their challenges. If you sit there, they can tell you the whole day just mentioning challenges. But I like to mention that so my listeners at least get a glimpse of some of the things that uh, these people go through. Like I know my listeners, most of them are from the United States, all over the world, and whenever they listen to this podcast, they can hear from different people from different countries and what they have gone through. So I've been following you on your Facebook. You're a mentor to other girls and younger girls, and everything you post, you're just empowering girls who, like you just said, who don't have a voice, who need empowerment, encouragement. And in most, so it's been in the area of HIV, and you've been an ambassador in that. Do you want to tell us the story about that and why you chose that specific area?
Yes, I am an ambassador for young people living with HIV, and I myself am also a person living with HIV. So I I felt like that is where God wanted me. I felt that that's the direction God wanted me to take in empowering my fellow girls, in bringing hope to the girls that had lost hope in life, especially girls who are living with HIV. I want to show them that yes, you're living with HIV, but there is more to life than just than living with HIV. You don't have to dwell on the virus. You don't have to fear being stigmatized or discriminated in the community because of your HIV status. So what I usually do or tell them is what I usually encourage them is building their confidence and through realizing what their strengths are as a person. So through that, they get to learn. Once they realize what their strengths are, I help them connect to different opportunities that will help them in gaining skills to enhance on what they have so that they are able to grow confident as a person and to also have a voice for themselves where no one has to speak on their behalf, but they can speak for themselves.
That's one of the areas that I just think about because I am ignorant about that. I don't know anything about it. And I can't say that I know what the struggles of people living with HIV they go through. And that's one of the things when I was thinking about hosting you, like I wanted to learn, I wanted to know what some of the challenges that these people living with HIV go through. And you mentioned some of them, like gender-based violence, like stigma. I don't know some of those terms, like you will break them down for us, but like I saw that, but I can tell like discrimination, like everybody knows discrimination, like somebody has HIV and they'll try to push them away. I don't know if it's personal, but like do you mind sharing the story from you, like how you acquired HIV? But like if it's personal, you don't have to say it. Like I don't want to force you to say it. But like I
I,
wanted, if you can tell your story on how like you got that.
I was born with HIV,
Okay.
so I got it through my mom, and by then she wasn't aware of her HIV status. And so, yeah, that's how I ended up with the
Yeah.
virus.
I knew that. I mean, I think I've had you share it and I knew all that, but like I wanted to ask you that for the listeners. Like I said earlier, I can't imagine how you go through like how you struggle with that. And like when you went to like, did you know that before you went to high school?
I actually knew that when I was in my primary seven.
Hmm.
Yes, so it was by then I didn't know what HIV was.
Hmm.
So I did not really mind so much. But what what really hit me was the way how some people who knew about me viewed me. So it started affecting my self-esteem as a person. And so that's when I got realized that, wow, maybe there is something wrong with me.
Mhm. No, so that's why I was asking you, because I can't imagine like going to school and when your fellow students find that out, that's when you experience the big discrimination or things that like your friends would want to hang out with you. Did you ever experience that? And did your friends in school get to know about it? And how was that like?
Well, at school, I kept it as a secret because I was scared to come out. Because research shows that there is high index of stigma and discrimination in schools. So most children that have experienced that, they are still struggling with the trauma they've
Mhm.
got. But luckily, for me, I had a very supportive friend who always stood by my side. All someone needs is a supportive friend, someone who is there to support them whenever they are needed. So I had also that kind of a friend who was very supportive, and she actually even fought those who tried to tease me, bully me.
Mhm.
So she would fight on my behalf.
That is nice because to have somebody to stand in there for you, like even in other parts of life, there's always like kids that are bullying each other or at work or in all different places. But it's always nice to have somebody to stand there with you and be with you. So when did you make the decision that you want to help the other people who are living with HIV?
That was at campus.
Okay.
When I was in my third year university, I read a book called Purpose Driven Life by Rick Warren. So that book uh, made me realize that everyone who is born has a special or a unique purpose that God designed for them, and it's the reason why they are there. So, and uh, again, somewhere he mentioned something about how the best way to find our purpose is through our lived experiences. And my experience has always been, I've always struggled with accepting myself because I was living with HIV and I just felt so hopeless in life. And that point where you just leave, just go with the flow. You don't see the meaning of your life. But that book helped me realize that there is always much more to more than what we've gone through as a person. So there are also other books that I read. There was another book that I read. It's called Extravagant Fire, written by Sue Sinclair. That book also, she was explaining her life experience and how God helped her overcome those experiences. And she's one of the most powerful ladies that is changing and transforming nations, actually. Those are samples of the books that I read that changed my life. And I remember sitting one day in my hostel room, in my small hostel room, and I made a decision that the only way to help someone else like me is to come out, is to first accept my status and never be afraid. And I shouldn't really continue hiding anymore, because even my friends at campus, they didn't know about my status. I would always hide from them. Whenever they come to my room, I would hide my medicine aside so that they won't notice or they don't get any clue. And I had to, the first people that I actually disclosed to was some of them. And they were very supportive, and they told me that this will actually help you stop hiding from people you care
Yeah.
about. So, and that's how I came out, though I was looking for an opportunity to to get to express myself or to reach as many young people as possible, and that is through the Y Plus Beauty pageant
Mhm.
organized by Uganda Network of Young People Living with HIV. And the purpose of the beauty pageant is to fight stigma and discrimination.
Okay.
So that was really a very good opportunity for me to come out and announce publicly about me, and also confess the whole reason why I'm coming out. And I'm glad that yes, I did, and there are no regrets.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about that because I saw that on your Facebook. So I'm sorry, all the things that happen, I see them on your Facebook, but that's the purpose of Facebook to let us know. And did you won that beauty pageant, didn't you?
No, I didn't, unfortunately. But there, I went home with a crown of Miss Popularity.
Okay,
Yes, Miss
I think that's what
Popularity.
I saw. Yeah.
And then also I was also the second runners up. So it was also a very good opportunity that I did not I ended up being among the top three girls who would be representing the young people at a national level.
Mhm.
So and I became a second runners up, which was a very good beginning for
Yeah.
me. And I managed to maintain that till now.
Things like that like bring back happiness to these gals that have gone through a lot, like there's a lot of people that have gone through a lot, and just living with that, knowing that you have HIV, it's a huge how do you call it, like the bag to carry, like on your load on your shoulder, but doing something that brings a smile, or having people in your life that will bring a smile, and even knowing that you're not alone, there's other people. So how have you managed to live with that, with HIV, and still be healthy and still be happy, and how have you managed that in your life?
First of all, I had to accept that HIV is now part of me. It's not going anytime soon, and it's an incurable illness. And secondly, I had to make sure that I stick to my drugs. So I made sure I would take my drugs every day to help me live a healthy life, and to help me also get to also help me prevent contracting sorry, AIDS.
Mhm.
Every time I talk about HIV and AIDS, people get confused.
Yeah,
But
I
so
almost
so
got confused too. I was gonna ask you. Uh-huh.
so I have the virus, but it is I don't have AIDS. I
Okay.
have HIV, but I don't have AIDS.
Okay.
So for me to prevent, uh, the only way for me to avoid getting AIDS is sticking to my ARVs and just maintaining the virus from
Okay.
progressing to AIDS. And also living healthy and having an open mindset
Mhm.
that helps me to not be um, that helps me to also accept other people the way they are.
So, you've been in Gulu, or you have been doing some projects in Gulu. Nowadays in Uganda, when you talk about Gulu, people think you're going in Gulu to get money. And I had that on my interview questions. So you in Gulu, are you one of the people who are making money up there, or like? But but I wanted you to tell us more about the projects you guys are doing in Gulu and what's happening there.
Um, The project that I'm doing in Gulu is actually happening everywhere in Uganda. So it's happening in every part of Uganda, north, east, west, and central. So the project that we are working on is called People's Voice. We are getting evidence of experiences of people living with HIV, and we get to see the challenges they face, especially when it comes to accessing HIV and TB
Mhm.
services. So we get those the information we get, we use that for advocacy purposes to improve on the HIV services provided to the people living with HIV and to people who are affected and to people who are at high risk.
Okay. Like you said, you do it in Gulu, and like this is happening in all like places in Uganda. So like they help in all. Yeah, I thought it was just in Gulu. You know how nowadays when the musician, everybody is going in Gulu as if Gulu is.
I was allocated in Gulu.
Okay. So I thought you're one of the people who are getting some money from Gulu, and I was gonna say you can send me some money. But anyway, I appreciate those activities that you do for the people and standing in, and like I finished my episode last week, and this one guy helps orphans. So whenever I look at people like you standing in that position to help another person, like it gives me energy. It's like we have people in our generation that are gonna change the world, and it starts with you and what you do. Also, I noticed something about the candlelight dinner. Can you tell us about what that was?
Candlelight dinner is held every third month of May,
Mm.
and the whole purpose of the candlelight dinner is to remember everyone who lost their life to AIDS. So that is basically it. Different organizations or different individuals find a way how to celebrate that day. On that day, we decided to go on the roadside with posts, giving information about HIV, and so we are helping the community uh, know more about HIV and how to prevent it and how to take care of themselves. So, and that is it. Others, they celebrate it in other ways, but for us, that is how we managed to celebrate it this year. I don't know if you saw those posts when
Yeah,
we
yeah,
were
yeah,
on
yeah.
the
So
road. Yes.
anyway, I might not have a lot of questions to ask you about HIV or anything, but since I'm gonna post this episode on my website and my channels, and I'll be open to people send me questions, and when they send me those questions, I'm gonna host you back again, and we'll go through those people's questions if they have anything they want to ask on this particular topic. Because I think for me, I've done my part of like asking you, telling me all those. Now, is there any life lessons that you've learned at this point of your life that you can share with us?
One lesson that I've learned, especially when it comes to working with girls, especially adolescent girls and young women, is that girls are always exposed to new experiences that enable them discover their own strength and 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 their own strength that enable them to thrive. But again, these new experiences come with the challenges. So the best way to help them overcome them is to discover their strength and how to overcome the challenges in every stage of their life.
That's a good life lesson for especially the girls to think about and listen to and learn from, and hearing it from you. And then the other question is kind of similar to that, is like, is there anything that I've not asked you about or mentioned on this topic we're talking about that you would want to say to listeners?
I have a lot that I would really want to say, but I think maybe another time.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can just pick one thing you want to leave our listeners with, like tell them one thing.
Okay, all I can say is that we all know that COVID is here to stay. So however much our focus is on COVID-19, but we should not we shouldn't forget that there are also other diseases that are affecting people, that are taking people's lives, like AIDS, malaria, TB, and others that I can't really mention because there are very many illnesses. We should find out how to equally distribute sources to enable us tackle those other issues that are prevailing besides COVID-19.
That's a good one, and I'm glad I asked that question because I wasn't like I might not have talked about COVID because we're focusing on this, but you made a very good point that COVID is real, but let not people forget about these other diseases like you're talking about. And if you can protect yourself from COVID, try to protect yourself from all the other diseases because they're also killer disease and they can kill you. And I appreciate I saw you were wearing your mask. You're wearing
Yeah,
your mask really good. So yeah, people should
I'm in a
wear masks.
public place.
Yeah. That's good. That's good that you wear that. Anyway, I don't want to take a lot of your time. I'm gonna ask you my final question, and this is my signature question that I ask everybody I host on my podcast. What gets you excited about life?
The fact that I'm living I'm living my purpose because it, it's I feel more lively and I feel someone told me that Ruth, ever since you came out, you're more lively. You're no longer that gloomy girl. If you ask my OBs and OGs from high school or anyone I studied with, either at campus, high school, or primary, they would always know me to be the person who is gloomy. I don't smile, and I looked pretty ugly. So, so ever since I came out, there was they said that I became very free and I look more beautiful. The fact that I'm living the life that I felt that I should have lived even a few years back. And I'm living it now. It's never too late for us to live the kind of life we want to live.
That is very exciting. And I don't know if I didn't see you when you're ugly, but I would say like, yeah, you look happy and you're living a very happy life. And I want to thank God for saving your life and looking at you smiling and you trying to save other kids' life. You know, you're doing a very good job. And I, on behalf of all the other people, we appreciate your work and what you do. And so, Ruth, I don't want to take a lot of your time. I know you have a lot of things to do, but I want to appreciate you for coming on my podcast and telling us your story. And I'm sure I'm going to have you back again because people are going to ask me a lot of questions that I didn't ask you. But we only had a short time for our interview, and I'll be glad to host you again.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Hey there, I am Bonnie Kibuka, the host of the Ugandan Boy Talk Show. Thanks for watching my video and don't forget to hit subscribe and share with a friend. Tune in every Saturday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time for a new episode about my podcast. And for more information about this podcast, follow me on my Instagram page, talk_show_256.